Okay, let's get to the playing aspect. You're at the jam, you got your guitar ready. Make sure it's in tune before you go on stage. That's another little helpful hint. Make sure you got a little tuner. Get that all ironed out before you go on the stage. You get up on the stage, you hook in to their house amp or whatever. They'll help you figure out how it works if you're not familiar with it. Usually the owner does, and it's usually pretty low key. It's not anything too serious or hard to work. And then you get up there, introduce yourself to everybody that you're playing with. Hi, I'm Bryce. How's it going? Hi, and good to play with you. Thanks for playing with me. And then you start to play. The singer usually calls the song, or the host, if they're playing along with you, they will tell you, okay, we're gonna do, I don't know, this blues song. It's a 1-4-5 in the key of A. So you gotta kind of have to have your head on a swivel. They might play a song that like, I don't know, Mustang Sally. Let's say, oh, it's in the key of C. Well, now we're gonna play it in A, or we're gonna play it in F, or whatever they want to play it in. So you're gonna have to know, at least for those kinds of progressions, to be able to be somewhat flexible in. They actually told me last night, they're like, can you play Brown Eyed Girl in the key of E? And I normally play it in G, and I was like, they're like, never mind, it's cool, we can make it work. So they were cool about it, but it just kind of, as we're going along, I'm going to need to learn to transpose things. So keep that in mind, but not to freak you out, not to say they won't work around with you. So the other thing is your volume knob is your best friend. And I'm still learning how to use mine. This is all like juggling. It's like, okay, first get to the jam and be able to have the courage to do it. Check. Okay, I did that. Play your first set. Check. Okay, I did that. And then last night I had the host come up to me who wasn't playing with me. He goes, you got to turn up when you do solos, when you take your leads, and then you turn back down. And I'm just not used to like doing that on my guitar, so it's all new. So that one, for leads, that's important. And number two, reason that your volume knob is your best friend is if you don't know the song, or you get completely, utterly so lost and confused that you are just not knowing what's going on, turn your volume knob all the way down and strum. Look like you're playing. That was the advice that was given to me. I haven't, fortunately, had to do it yet, but I'm sure it's coming up at some point. Maybe not, maybe so, I don't know. So that's another reason. The other thing is, number three, and most importantly, that I wanted to kind of talk about this is, don't play too loud. And ask people, if you think you're loud, ask people, am I too loud? It's a little bit different on stage because the stage sound's going to be different than what the house sound is out on the floor. So the first night I played, I was like, oh, I am way too loud. And I turned down on my guitar. And they said, no, you were fine. It was absolutely fine. We had it all dialed in. So just be aware of that. You don't want to play too loud over someone else's solo. Okay? You got to be, that's like, people will not jam with you if you play too loud over their solo. Or you play too loud over a vocalist. There's a time and a place to take a solo. And your job basically is to blend in until it's your turn to shine, which would be a solo. So keep that in mind. And let's say that you do take a solo, and let's say a 12-bar blues progression. These are things that I didn't know, and I've learned. Okay, so if you know all this stuff, I'm like I said, this is all just my experience that I've had in the last couple of weeks and from talking with people. Blues solos are usually 2 cycles of the 12-bar blues progression. I did not know that. So don't do one and think you're off the hook because you still got another cycle to do. So make it stretch out on your solo. Always look to the singer or whoever's singing the song to point to the soloist or nod to the soloist of who they want to go. And so you're always having to pay attention to what's going around on stage. So that's one thing to take into account. So when they nod to you, it's your turn to do your solo. You do your 2 cycles. You turn up your volume to do it and turn it back down after you're done. And then you play your rhythm and you back up everybody else. So that's just how it works. And then let's say you've finished your set. You're done. You have officially done your first jam. Congrats to you. Make sure you thank everybody. Everybody, I'm talking everybody in the band. You thank the guitar player that played next to you, you thank the drummer, you thank the bass player, you thank everybody for playing with you. It's just something gracious to do, and there's a lot of awesome players out there, and we all start from the beginning and try to learn how to do this stuff, and it's nice of them to play with you. So that's kind of something that I think. And then one thing that I do want to mention, and this is just my own personal take on this, you guys can do whatever you want. I don't drink alcohol before I play. I have to have every bit of consciousness for me to be able to play with people. It's just I can't do it. I can't drink and play. My playing goes to crap. So keep that in mind. If you do a set, have a beer afterwards or whatever you want to do. I don't think alcohol is going to calm your nerves if you're nervous. I think it's going to make it worse. And that's just my opinion on it. So keep that in mind. So in general, a couple other things that I wanted to mention about I thought was worth mentioning. If you're at a venue, buy a drink. Doesn't have to be alcoholic. It could be a soda. It could be whatever. Buy food if you want to, and or tip the band. They usually have a tip jar, at least at the venue that I do. You need to support the jam venue because most of these places are running on really tight margins, and there might not be a whole lot of jammers there. Well, if you don't support the jam venue, they might not be having a jam any longer because it just doesn't pencil out for them. So keep that in mind that you want to support. And if you get into it, invite friends out, have people come out and give them some business and have a good time. So keep that in mind. And the other thing is, don't play and just split. Do not do that. Okay, to me it's kind of rude. One, because it's like, thank you, I played and I'm out of here. I don't care if you completely tanked on stage and you're embarrassed. You know what? We all have bad nights and we are all learning on this stuff, and it's like you're going to get better if you keep at it. So keep that in mind, number one. And then number two, you want to watch other players play. You want to be able to see what they're doing, what kind of songs they play. I was watching the one guitar player I mentioned earlier in this video about how awesome he was, and I was like, oh, pattern 4, okay, pattern 1, and I was watching him where he was going on the neck and trying to figure out what he was doing. I was like, okay, he's not like playing anything so complicated that I can't probably break it down eventually. So just to look at that. And it's a great way that if you see somebody get up there and play a great set and then they're off, go up to them and introduce yourself and say, hey, that was awesome what you did on Red House or whatever song that they were playing. I really like that one lick that you were playing. I don't know where you got that from. And just strike up a conversation. And I have just met a ton of people in the last 2 weeks. And unfortunately, this jam venue I've been going to is just super awesome. And everybody's very supportive and gracious. And they want you to have a good time. And that's exactly what I need right now. So that's all I've got right now for advice for you guys and kind of my experience. And hopefully it's helpful to you. I highly encourage you guys to get off the couch and try it. Or find a jam buddy. If you don't want to do an open jam or a blues jam, find somebody that you can play with. Like I said, if you introduce yourself to these people at the jam afterwards and talk to them if they've had a great set, they might play with you or you might make a friend. So it's kind of a great way to get out there and make some new musician buddies. So hopefully that's helpful, and I will see you guys on the forum soon enough.